Hey everyone, this is the second part of that video that I did with the jig hook information. This is going to encompass the wire diameters and the types of hooks that are available. Um, of course, we went over the bends. Now what we're going to do is go over the wire diameters. You see in all these hooks, I try to have a heavy wire and a light wire version in a 60-degree flat eye. The 60-degree here, I only have in a heavy hook. I believe there's one that is, there's one or two that are light wire versions of 60 degrees, but they're not common. I got a heavy wire and a light wire 30 degree, and a light wire and a heavy wire 90 degree. And as you know, you're going to use the light wire with lighter tackle. That's only common. But now here's something I want to point out difference-wise. Um, the light wire 90-degree hooks, most of them are fine wire. They are what's known as an Aberdeen style hook. They're actually made to bend out. They get a lot of bad press as being junk hooks because somebody fished it and the Z-Man Shrooms head keeps coming to mind because I see that on online forums a lot about it having a bad hook, and it's really not a bad hook. What it is somebody's using too heavy a tackle for what it's actually meant for. In the bass sizes, which I use size 2 a lot, but the bass sizes are really a size 1 upwards to a 6/0. But you're looking at anywhere from a size 2 to a 2/0. You shouldn't fish that on any more than 8-pound test. The size 2, you're looking at 4 to 6 pound, and that's what I use. I use 6-pound test until I hit the 1/0 version. Then I go to an 8-pound test line, and that's with the drag set fairly loose. I've caught 5-pound smallmouth on that little hook. It just needs the right tackle, and it won't bend out. But they are designed with steady pressure to bend out straight to free from snags. They were originally made for panfish in that aspect, but they work really well as a bass jig. But again, you're not going to use braided line with these, and you're going to use a lighter drag setting and a lighter pound. You know, you're using fluorocarbon or mono on this type of a hook. That's what I would do anyway. Now the bends, 90-degree bends are your typical jig hooks. They can be used just about anything. They're not really specialized. They're actually general. Nothing specific. They could be used for a lot of different applications, and any application actually. If you have the right size hook with the right tackle, you can make hair jigs with them. You can drag creature baits, whatever it be. Now over here we got 30-degree bends. 30-degree bends are seen in bullet-shaped jigs for penetrating grass, and they're also seen on swim jigs. The reason being is when you have that head cast on here, the line tie is right at the front of the head, and that makes for a very true tracking jig. If I know some people will tell me, yeah, you could swim any type of jig, but I want a jig. I was in that same boat until I actually saw and compared an actual swim jig to other type of jigs. And here's what the difference is. This 30-degree hook, the line tie will be right at the front of the head. When you're bringing this through the water, it's like this. Hooks, most of your jigs that aren't designed for swimming, when you're bringing them through the water, they're like this. The hook is trailing, and it's actually down lower. It's like that in a 30-degree, but not anywhere near what it is on other ones. And that's another attribute of that. But it will track nice and true with the 30-degree bend. That's why you see them so prevalent on that type of on a swim jig. And the same thing with a one that penetrates grass. It's on the front, so it's getting, the bullet shape is pushing the cover aside, and it's not getting hung up on the front of that hook. And they come, and like I said, you got a regular wire, you got which is this, and you got a heavy wire, which is this one. You also have them in extra wide gaps, like we talked about with the hook bends. I didn't go over the extra wide gap very much, because it is basically just made for thicker, heavier plastics. This is the 60-degree bend. I have it all by itself because most of the 60-degree bends you find are heavy wire. These are going to be your heavy hitters. These are going to be your flipping and pitching hook, jigs. Ones that are going into heavy cover are going to be fished with heavy braid or heavy fluoro or mono. They're going to be used with heavy powered rods or real stout medium heavy rods. This is your big boy right here. This heavy wire 60-degree hook. And the 60-degree is great because it gives you a good pull point with the hook. It allows you to have a nice meaty head, heavy weight, and still have that line, that hook point above the line tie. And I think that that's critical, especially when you're adding trailers and you're in cover. You want that hook point above that line tie. I do. I know there's videos out there, and there's other people that like it to be perfectly in line or offset a little bit. With me, I like a little offset, but on a jig hook, I like to have that hook point right across that. And with these heavy cover hooks, and 60 degrees, they just work really well. So that's sort of like your perfect all-around jig hook. And that brings us to the flat eye. Again, you have regular wire, and you have heavy wire, and there's also some lighter wire ones. But this here is a heavy wire. These are what I call rock crawlers, because that's the type of jigs they're usually on, a round ball head or something that's going to be crawled through rocks. They're great on Aiken's finesse jigs. And what makes them so good is yeah, a 60-degree regular eye will keep your line off the rocks the same way as this flat eye does. But what it really comes down to is the pull point. When you pull on this, it has a fulcrum type action. If for some reason it likes to pull down like that, where on the regular your regular tie, it's pulling, and it's pulling it. I should go back here. I'm sorry. It's pulling it upwards, where on here, when you're pulling it, it wants to work its way down. I'm not a physics major. I don't know why, but as I said before, these flat eye hooks tend to work better in rocks. I know you couldn't see that too well, but that's mainly what these are for. They're the rock jigs. Anything that's going to go in rocks works well with the flat eye jig hook. Lately, I've been using a flat eye in a swim jig, this heavy one. It does work really well. I was amazed. But day in and day out, it's better on a rock jig. It's better for something that's going to be drugged through rocks, because of the way it does it. You're pulling that along, and it wants to pull that up just like so. Much easier for the fish to get it, and when it does, you're in position to set the hook right away. These 90-degree ones, with the hook, with the line tie pointing straight up in the air, they tend to want to pull and come up just the opposite. Just like the front will come up more so than the back end. It's I don't know, like I said, I'm not a physics major, but that just seems to be the way it works. And that's how I use them. These Aberdeen hooks I like using on smaller jigs with small baits and hair jigs. The heavy wire ones I like using um, the same things, hair jigs, but I use it on bigger jigs. I'm using these on 3/16 quarter, 3/8 ounce. 30 degrees I like on swim jigs and grass jigs. Your 60 degree, this is your heavy hitter. This is your flipping and pitching jig. And your flat eyes, these are your rock crawlers. And all you got to do is take the wire diameter that's meant to be used with it. You know, whatever tackle you're going to use with your particular jig, match it up to the hook. I know a lot of guys always want these big meaty hooks, and I'm going to tell you, if you use the right tackle, the smaller hook is actually better. You'll get a good hook set more often. Now, in real heavy, dense cover, yeah, you're going to have to need that heavy hook, and you're going to need the heavier line. But if you're not in real heavy cover, or say you don't need to turn a fish out of heavy cover, try downsizing a little bit. I think you'll be shocked at what you accomplish. I know I was in that mindset for a while, and I learned. I gradually started using the heavy hooks when I absolutely have to, and when I could get away with it, I use the lighter wire ones. Well, that's all I have for you. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any other suggestions, anything you want to see that I can possibly that I know about that I can help you out with. But when it comes to jigs and your hook selection, there's a lot out there, and there's reasons for each of these bends and each wire diameter. So check it out. Like I said, check out the different molds, different head styles, and take your jig fishing to another level. Thanks for watching.